Hello, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Dalton Caldwell, and I'm the founder and CEO of App.net.
App.net is quite a secret tip in a way, in Germany at least. Quite a few people talk about it already. Those ones who do not know it yet, what is it about?
App.net is a paid social service, which I know sounds crazy, the idea of paying for a social service. But the reason we're doing this is that I think that business models dramatically affect the direction that a product goes and how it serves its users. And so even if you are a free service, you are selling a product, it's just the product is your user base, right? And you're monetizing through advertising. My belief is that taking a paid services business model will end up creating a better user experience, enable third-party developers to innovate more, and enable use cases that are just not well supported in an ad-supported business.
What made you come up with this idea and how does it look in reality?
We saw this summer a huge constriction on the developer ecosystem on Twitter, as well as on Facebook, as well as honestly what's happening in the Android and iPhone wars, where people are siloing up, right? And they're starting to block each other. And as consumers, they're finding that, oh, this used to work, oh, this doesn't work anymore. And a lot of the apps that they use are being taken away. And so my belief is that it's because these guys are following their business models, which is totally their right to do so. But if we examine a paid business model, you can end up with a less siloed experience. And that this experiment was worth running to see what the outcome would be of a paid service.
What do people get for what amount of money?
Sure. So it's a services business model. So just on that, I mean, when you think about it, if you're running an email hosting provider, or if you're running Amazon Web Services or Twilio, like the SMS services, those all charge money for a service, right? Like the hosting model is not some new idea. I'm obviously using all of these ideas, borrowing liberally from services business models and software as a service business models. It's just I'm applying it to something that's not traditionally been applied before. The current price is $36 a year or $5 a month if you want to be on a monthly plan. And you get a full-fledged account, access to your feed, and you could download any of the apps that are available in the App Store or integrated services and post to that. And yeah, that's what you're getting for the payment.
Do you consider yourself a B2B service then or more a B2C or both?
I think there's both parties in the ecosystem. We're depending on developers to build the user interface. So 90% of the usage on App.net happens in a UI that was built by a third party. Isn't that cool? I think like for our business model, I think that's really cool. If we were an ad-supported business model, I'd be like, that's really bad, right? Because then we couldn't show any ads.
What do you think are the implications of the stuff you already mentioned? Facebook doing all the advertisement in their stream or asking for money if you would be published in the stream, and Twitter doing all the token stuff. What are the implications and how does this differ from your business model?
So to me, the implications are, I think those businesses will continue to grow because it's free. And so I don't think they're going to go anywhere anytime soon. But I do think that they're going to be optimizing on things that are what's good for the business model. So again, why did Twitter shut down their third-party developer community? It's not because they're mean guys. It's because they're running a business, and they weren't able to find a way to monetize effectively these third-party clients. So we're going to see them continue to grow, but I think there's these whole wide swaths of potential innovation that are being underserved because no one knows how to make money from it via advertising. And so our style business model could go and try to fill that void.
One more sentence about the short-term view. I mean, business model, apply a business model in the first place does make sense from a long-term perspective, but I think critical mass is an aspect of social services as yours. I mean, obviously Twitter and Facebook grew pretty fast and pretty big because of the fact that they were free. Does this differ in your case? I mean, having a price tag on it already, not knowing what the benefit is right from the start, do you still grow that critical?
So a couple of things on that. I mean, I think that a lot of people don't realize how many services didn't grow fast, and that the overnight success is often not an overnight success at all. So like in the Twitter case, they grew very slowly the first year and a half they existed. If you go look at the graph, this is well established. People didn't know what it was. They didn't know what to think about it. And it was only after a certain amount of time passed that took off. Pinterest, which is one of the hottest startups right now, didn't go anywhere for about a year and a half. It's true. And
so App.net is going to boost in about 1.5 years.
I mean, I can't promise that. I'm just saying, like, it's easy to be like, oh, well, these startups took off, and if you remember what it was like in the early days, no one knows what's going to work. and no one knows what the community is going to do. In terms of critical mass, I've written about this a little bit on my blog. I think critical mass is smaller than some people would think it is, where you can have a really active, valuable, vibrant community on a smaller user base if they're excited in using it.
What is your strategy on this? I mean, how do you guarantee that this quality from a networking perspective is found at app.net?
I mean, obviously we can't guarantee it. That's part of the experiment, right? Is that we don't know what's going to happen, and that's why it's worth doing. But in terms of quality, it's that the people that have signed up a lot of them are techies themselves, or they're software engineers, or they're designers, and they're people that care a lot about these issues, right? They're aware of the implications of people mining their data and selling, like all of the things that mainstream hasn't figured out yet. These people are very sensitive to those things. And so a lot of them are like-minded and they care a lot about that. And my belief is that the developers that are building on top of app.net now are going to innovate and create user experiences that increasingly appeal to mainstream consumers. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
as far as I understand you, I mean, then your job is just to create a space where the community is allowed to create something really nice out of the stuff you deliver them.
Exactly. That's a services model. On the revenue share side right now, it's still in the experimentation phase, but every month app.net members rate what their favorite apps were that they used that month, and we use that to distribute a revenue share, we call it the developer incentive program, to developers that are built in the ecosystem. And we're currently distributing $20,000 a month for people that are building apps that people love that integrate with app.net. And part of this experimentation is to try to jumpstart the ecosystem, and it's worked quite well given the number of apps that have already been built on it. And yeah, you're exactly right. Like, we're trying to facilitate that.
Let's have a view in the crystal ball. Maybe 1 year ahead. How does app.net look like?
So, if I think 1 year ahead, what's funny about it is part of this experiment is that we don't control what the third-party developers build, and so all we can do is build the best APIs we can and support them and make the feedback loop as tight as possible. We're about to ship something, a private messages API that makes it very easy for app developers to build something like a BBM or WhatsApp, those kinds of apps, or something you could use it for enterprise collaboration like a Yammer or a HipChat kind of experience. You could use it for Internet of Things like we talked about earlier, where you could have all your different devices, instead of sending you an SMS or an email, it could send you these private messages via this API and create a filter so that it like reduces redundancy and only shows you the most relevant things. And that, we're going to put this out in the next month.
Okay, we stay curious. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, appreciate it.